head off here. Well, how are y'all feeling today?
Knees.
Knees are feeling it today.
Stiffy.
Okay. Sticky. Okay, anything else? Backs, hips, anything? All right, okay. Yep. All right, we're feeling all kinds of good. How are your hips, Jack? So far, so good? All right. We're just broken from here down. Okay, very good. All right, well, we'll start off cross-legged again today. Remember that you can, if this sitting like this is painful, you can prop your lower legs up on your feet. Sometimes that helps with any hip issues. You can close your eyes and let's breathe for a minute. If you've been shoulder and chest breathing today, let's try to not do that for these 30 minutes. Let's see if you can relax those shoulders down. Try to soften through the chest. And as you inhale, try to expand through your belly, through your rib cage, and through your back. So we're going to start on the lower section of the torso. Allow it to stretch out, keeping the upper part of the body relaxed. And then nice and gently, you can exhale on each breath. A few more breaths here. Remember, this is our goal setting time, our intention setting time. So if you have something that you want to focus on during this 30 minutes or not focus on, make sure you're bringing that to the forefront of your mind. Take those arms, just drape them over the inside of your knees and drop one ear to your shoulder. Inhale, move your head through the center, and exhale as you drop your ear to the other shoulder. Breathing in, once again, head through the center, drop your ear over your shoulder, and if you'd like, you can accentuate that stretch, grab hold with the other hand and pull slightly down. Relaxing that arm down. Again, inhale, breathe out as you drop your ear, and accentuate the stretch with your other palm. All right, we're going to return that head to the center. You can keep your hands over your knees, and we're going to take the torso and just move in little circles. So moving the shoulders back and around and forward. Warming up through the hips, a little stretch through the sides. Like you're stirring the pot upside down. And then reverse, go the other direction. Okay, so from here, you might want to turn sideways on your mat if you need some extra cushion on your feet. We're going to send the feet out nice and wide. So if you're bony like me, I would like to put my feet on the mat. Don't like it on the floor. And first thing we're gonna do is just sit up nice and tall. So we're planting those hands behind us. We're gonna work on lifting through the chest. And now this might not be perfect. If you feel like you really can't sit up straight just because it doesn't feel good in front of your hip flexors or your back's just not doing it, like you're too tight, you can walk your hands back a little bit and kind of lean your torso back. Work on lifting the chest from there, kind of rolling your belly button forward. And then from there, you can inch those hands forward just little by little. So work on keeping that spine up straight. If you feel more relaxed and you want to sit up straighter, you can just kickstand yourself a little further forward. If that makes sense. And take your time. As you're comfortable, we're going to start to fold forward. So now you can relax through the spine, start to lower that chest toward the floor. Reaching the body forward. And if you don't feel like you need to have your hands behind you, you can reach them out in front. Trying to anchor those fingers down on the floor or on the mat. Give us 3 more deep breaths. Stretching a little further if you can. And inhale, come on up. Just relaxing those hip flexors for a sec. You can reach the hands back behind you. Lift the chest toward the ceiling again. Relax that low back. If your feet are sweaty, you can wiggle your toes. And then we're going to start reaching over toward one leg. So using one hand to kickstand if you need it. We're starting to reach that hand over. If you don't need it, you can stretch over with both arms, just anchoring them to your leg. Reaching down as far as you can go. Relaxing through that low back. With these stretches, you should feel like the longer you hang out here, the easier it is to stretch a little bit further. It might not be a ton, but maybe an inch or so. If you want to stay here a little longer, go ahead and do so. We're going to come up out of that shape for a sec. We're going to plant the other arm behind us, and then we're repeating on the other side. You're going to reach your hand down towards your shin, toward your ankle. If you don't need that hand behind you, just anchor it on your leg as well. And this is where you might start to notice a difference, one side versus the other. One side might be more stretchy than the other. That's normal. One more breath in and out here. All right, take your time. If you want to stay there longer, go ahead. We're going to come up out of that shape when you're ready. Let's pull those legs in and let's go into a tabletop position so we can go through cat and cow. So I'm stretching out through that spine some more. Hands are going to go down on the mat, underneath your shoulders, knees under your hips. Start off nice and neutral, and give yourself a second here. You just did a whole bunch of stretchy spine stuff. So if you need to rest for a moment, go ahead. And then from here, when you're ready, we're going to inhale, arch through the spine, You'll lift your forehead and your tailbone, pull those shoulders down from the ears. Breathe in. As you exhale, we're going to round. Push the hands into the mat. Tuck the tailbone under. Again, inhale, arch the spine. Lift your forehead. Pull those shoulders down from the ears. We're trying to be nice and open across the chest. Another way of doing this is rather than like actively arching through your spine, just relax through your belly and through your spine. Allow your pelvis to rotate naturally, and that might act as a little bit of a stretch for you, especially if you're getting some low back tightness. Inhale. As you breathe out, we're going into a rounding position. Hug the bubble. Forehead's tucking, chin is tucking. And we're getting a little contraction through those abs as you tuck your tailbone. We're going to go through each of those one more time, but I want you to take your time. Whichever one feels better, you can hang out there longer. When you're ready, you're going to inhale. We're going to go to that first one more time. If you like this one, if you like the arched position, just hang out here longer. If you don't like it, then you can move to the rounded position whenever you're ready. And on that one, you're going to exhale, and you'll push those hands into the floor. As you finish, we're going to meet in extended child's pose. Your knees are going to go out. Big toes will come together, and you can settle your hips back, pressing that forehead on the floor. Or if you want your head elevated, just plant those forearms down, and you can keep your head up off of the mat. We did a whole bunch of stuff on the hands there, so if the wrists are bugging you, you can also move through the wrists, stretch those out slightly. Two more big breaths here. Open up through those shoulders. Stretch those hands away from your body. Okay. So when you're ready, we're going to bring the body forward. We're going to plant those hands down. We're going to be moving into downward dog. Now, if you don't want to do downward dog, just hang out here like a downward puppy with knees bent. Otherwise, pick those toes up. Knees up, not toes up. Pick your knees up and hips up. Pull the weight back away from the wrists. Lengthening out through that low back. Let's give it 3 deep breaths. And we're going to just inch 1 foot forward. So bring that foot up as far forward as you can. 1 foot toward the front of the mat. Other leg is going to stay behind. And we're going to keep moving that foot up until you're in a pretty deep lunge. So one way you can do this is have one knee, and drop the back knee down. One knee down at the back, on one edge of the mat, and your front foot over on the other edge. And today we're going to actually have one hand on the outside of that foot, other hand on sort of the inside. So remember, if this is not comfortable for that back knee, just take your mat and fold it over. Give yourself some extra cushion. The boniness isn't bugging you. Little lift through the chest. We're just gonna give it a couple of breaths here. Wiggle around, find a spot that's comfortable. So we're gonna bring the weight back slightly. You might find that you have to inch your foot back a little bit because we're gonna bring our hands up off of the mat. So if you can't hold that shape while you're upright, just pull your foot in. Okay, moving those hips forward again if you can. So not gonna have the knee way in front of the toes, just right over the top of the ankle. And if you can, both hands are gonna go up overhead. Let's give it a couple of breaths. One more breath in. On the exhale, we're gonna grab the wrist of the backside leg. So whatever knee is on the ground, grab that wrist. We're gonna pull it over the side of the front leg. So if your right leg is in front, then you're leaning to the right. And if your left leg is in front, you're leaning to the left. Your right leg is in front, lean to the right. Okay, we'll figure it out eventually. 2 more breaths. Very good. All right, we're gonna send the weight back, send the hands toward the floor. Give it a couple of breaths here. We're just stretching over the back side of that front leg. And then we're gonna plop down on the mat, give ourselves a second here. Did a whole bunch of like upside down things. So relax your knees for a sec. Relax through your hip flexors. You can ball them out if you need to. We're gonna be repeating all that on the other side in just a moment. So whenever you're ready, we're going to be moving into downward facing dog. So once again, if you don't want to be way upside down, just in a downward puppy position is fine with your hips still kind of down on the mat. But with that one, you're still going to have your toes curled under. So curling under those toes, lifting the hips up if you can. Trying to settle down through those heels. See if you can get an extra stretch through the calves. So you're really pushing that weight back away from the wrists. You shouldn't feel like you're crowding the joint of your wrist. Instead, push that weight back. Your hands and your wrist should almost be straight. Two more breaths. On the end of that second exhale, we're going to repeat what we did on the other side. So we're bringing a foot towards the front of the mat, dropping that other knee down. Forgot to say that last time. Drop your back knee down. Back knee is going to be on one edge of the mat. Front foot's going to be on the other. Should be easy to figure out which edge. Hands are going to go on the outside of the foot and on the inside of the foot. So we got lots of space here. We're in a deeper lunge so we can stretch through that back hip. If it feels like it's not really a challenge, try to either move your back knee back or your front leg forward. So there's a big weight shift here onto your front foot. And check out your gnarled toenails. Couple of breaths, trying to open through those hips. If you can get a slight lift through the chest, that helps a little because sometimes it helps to sink the hips down. And what I mean by that is your chin tucks in and the upper part of your spine actually kind of extends. So it tightens a little bit and those hips will sink down some more. One more breath in. Now on the exhale, once again, if you need to pull that front foot back a little, you can. We're going to come up off of the mat, so bringing those hands up. You want to be in a position that you can still shift your weight forward without feeling like you're killing your knees to get there. Okay, so trying to keep the chest up nice and tall. Back knee still getting a little bit of a stretch. We're going to take those hands, stretch them up overhead. So by now you should feel a little something, whether it's down here in the top of your thigh, or even if it's up here into your torso. There's some hip flexor muscles that run up towards your spine there. We're going to repeat the complicated one. So grab the wrist of your backside leg and stretch over the side of your front leg. So if your left leg is in front, you're stretching over to the left and you've grabbed your right wrist. This is kind of to open up this whole side. So you might feel a stretch down here in the waist, like I was mentioning. Give it 3 more breaths. As you finish, you can relax that hand down. We're going to send the weight back, stretch over that front leg, and stretch out the back side of that thigh as well. Last breath in and out. Okay, so from here, take your time. We're going to stand up off of the mat. You can wiggle things out. If the knees or the hips are screaming at you, give yourself a second. We're just going to do a very simple chest stretch. So if you want to move toward the wall, go ahead and back on up. You want to get next to the wall so that your shoulder is basically right next to the wall. And then your hand is going to reach behind you. So we're extending that arm straight back, your shoulders like kissing the wall. And then we're going to turn our chest away from our arm. Remember, we talked at the beginning about trying to breathe through your belly and not quite as much through your chest. So even when we're here, you want to initiate your breath from your belly. And you might feel that as you balloon out, that it kind of starts from the lower part of your torso, and then it kind of works up towards your chest. So as you reach the peak of your inhale, you'll feel a pretty tight stretch across the chest. And as you exhale, it'll release a little bit. Do that 3 times. Very good. Then we're going to release that arm. We're going to repeat on the other side. So get your your shoulder right up next to the wall. Send that other hand back behind you. We're anchoring that hand and we're twisting away from where our hand is. Just allowing that stretch to happen there across the chest. And the same thing, you're trying to use your diaphragm to breathe. So start the breath from the lower part of your belly, try to balloon those lungs out, and then you should feel it stretch up into your chest. Do that 3 times, 3 deep breaths. Very good. And as you finish, you can relax that arm. We're going to return to the mat. Okay, and nice and easy, we're going to go on down to the mat. If you want to kind of ragdoll, stretch it out first before you sit down, you're welcome to. We're going to be sitting down. If you are able to lay down, go ahead and lay down on the mat. If you need to stay seated, I'll kind of give you instructions for what we're going to do next. We're going to be stretching in through the hip. If you're sitting up, you can go into this stretch here. If you're able to lay down, go ahead and lay down. And same thing, we're going to take that knee, kind of pull it toward the chest, and then across to the opposite shoulder. Just getting into that hip. We're going to hold this here for 5 breaths. Now, if this feels like it's not quite finished for you, if you want to hold that stretch longer,
Go ahead, when you're ready, you're gonna switch to the other side and you'll do another 5 breaths on that thigh, or hip, sorry. So knee comes up toward the chest and then it crosses to the opposite shoulder. Same thing, 5 breaths. As we finish, we're just gonna send the legs out nice and long. You can find a relaxed posture. And we're gonna close our eyes and breathe for these last few minutes. If you don't wanna lay on your back, remember you can turn on your belly or you can just sit on up. Give yourself a relaxed position. We've got another moment or two. Take your time, and as you're finished for today, you can sit on up.
How's everybody feeling?
Stretched.